LA Knight knows this is true, and so do you. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that is true and why you will most likely agree with it. Because LA Knight, well, he's had a strong 2024, a true rebound year. Because I and a lot of people have been criticizing the way that WWE has pushed him. Yes, he has won the U.S. Championship. Yes, he did score a notable win over AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Yes, he feuded and ultimately beat Logan Paul at SummerSlam to win the United States Championship. However, they had to do a little bit of damage control when it comes to LA Knight. Yeah, because in 2023, he had his breakout year. From losing to Bray Wyatt at the Royal Rumble in a Blackouts match, to not even being on the WrestleMania card, to them having to do rehab on his career by aligning him with John Cena and pairing him into a feud with The Miz. And then they went sideways because they decided, you know what, let's feed him to Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia at the 2023 Crown Jewel event. Yeah, that'll be a great idea. And oh, by the way, let's book him in a Fatal 4-Way at the Royal Rumble. And oh yeah, by the way, let's let him lose yet again. And oh, we're going to have The Rock return, and people are going to compare him to The Rock because of the way that he speaks, he does his promos, and the way that he carries himself. And then they're like, okay, fans are crapping on this guy. He's an over babyface to a large part of our audience. We got to do something. So what do? They give him AJ Styles at WrestleMania. There's a win. They let him go on, and they let him pick up some notable wins, although he falls short in the Money in the Bank match, and he falls short in the Elimination Chamber match, but sure, he got that win over AJ Styles. And sure, he beat Logan Paul for the U.S. Championship. But once he won the U.S. Championship, what has he done? He's held open challenges, and sure, to a certain degree, that is a notable thing because it lets LA Knight, A, be on television, B, defend the championship, and C, get over talents that otherwise wouldn't be used. And then, what do? They have him beat Andrade. They have him beat Carmelo Hayes. And they're like, you know what? Instead of us crowning a new number one contender for his championship, let's just book them in a best-of-7 match. Oh, by the way, let's let him get attacked and lose his cool, forcing a triple threat going into Crown Jewel. Have you noticed something? Well, that leads us to today's topic, because LA Knight knows this is true, and so do you, despite the fact that Logan Paul put over LA Knight at SummerSlam, despite the fact that LA Knight won the U.S. Championship. LA Knight, he's stale, and it's time. It is time to do something different with LA Knight. I know. When a good thing comes to an end, sometimes it can be a little hard to accept, to let in, and kind of burn into your mind, your heart, your soul, and your spirit. But LA Knight, look, he's a heck of a talent. The guy can work. He can cut an absolute banger of a promo. He's got charisma oozing out of him. But guess what? LA Knight doesn't have to be just a babyface to work. He doesn't have to be just booked as a babyface. You can turn him heel, right? And it's time that LA Knight is turned as a heel. Look, he's going to be, depending on when you hear this video, he's going to be dropping that U.S. title soon, right? If not already at Crown Jewel. And so, despite the fact that whatever happens at Crown Jewel, it's time that LA Knight goes in a different direction, whether that is as U.S. champion, whether that is without the strap. Because LA Knight, he was known as a notable heel in TNA wrestling as Eli Drake. And when he was in NXT, one of my favorite storylines from the pandemic era was LA Knight and Trevor Lee, right? AKA Cameron Grimes. He was a heel in NXT. He was a great heel in NXT. He did great work in NXT, feuding with Cameron Grimes. They feuded over the $1 Million Championship. They brought in Ted DiBiase. They did amazing skits and promo segments and feuding. LA Knight proved that he can be a notable heel. He can be a top heel. He can be as good of a heel as he is a babyface. In fact, I think he's a better heel than he is a babyface. And while, yes, we had that weird Max Dupree run that absolutely no one liked, including LA Knight, and Triple H was like, yeah, dude, this is not going to work. Let's bring back LA Knight, back to the forefront. Well, that's exactly what happened. And that is why his career took off on the main roster. And so, if you look at it from a Triple H standpoint, you go, okay, we need someone that can be built up as a top heel, right? LA Knight competing for the number one babyface spot with the likes of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes on Friday Night SmackDown as it sits right now, well, guess what? That's not going to work. He's not going to beat out those guys as top babyfaces. But who do you got as a heel on Friday Night SmackDown right now, right? You got Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. That's it. Is Solo Sikoa going to be the undisputed WWE champion? No. Is Jacob Fatu going to be the undisputed WWE champion this year? No. Is he going to be it next year? Probably not. Can LA Knight be the guy to dethrone Cody Rhodes next year as the undisputed WWE champion? Not as a babyface, but as a heel? Okay, now we're talking. That opens things up to a discussion, to a conversation. LA Knight has proven that he can be a heel. LA Knight has proven that he can be a babyface. But LA Knight has proven that he can play both roles and do it at a very high level. This is not something in which you have to shoehorn him into being a babyface or a heel. He can do either or. LA Knight, he's also got another situation that he's going to have to face. That other situation is The Rock, because all reports, and even The Rock has said, reports of him not working WrestleMania next year is just simply BS. So if you're going to have The Rock come back in 2025, if you're going to have John Cena come back in 2025, think about this, LA Knight, John Cena, LA Knight as a heel, John Cena as a babyface, that's a pretty money feud. They have history, right? Cena endorsed him, he put him over. There's history they can build off of that. But when guys like John Cena can come back and cut a promo, when guys like The Rock, who has already been established, as a hierarchy over LA Knight, and people being like, well, LA Knight's just a Rock ripoff. It's like, okay, if you don't try to get ahead of this, this is going to be bad. And it's going to be worse because The Rock's going to be around for much longer, right? So, because I expect him to be on Raw on Netflix, the first episode in January, right? They got to set up this epic WrestleMania encounter, and this time they have a year to plan it, unlike, earlier this year where it was just kind of fly of the seat of your pants type of booking. If you can get LA Knight over as a heel ahead of The Rock returning, then I think that will cut down on the comparisons in terms of it hurting LA Knight as a babyface. Because if he's a heel, then all we're doing is talking about comparisons, and it's the LeBron versus Michael Jordan argument that no one is ever going to win, right? Now, obviously, in this case, I think it's pretty fair to say that The Rock is a much better wrestler, promo, overall superstar than LA Knight at this stage of the game, but still, you know what I mean? Like, it's a different type of comparison. It's a different type of scenario, and so I think if you go about it that way, then I think we're talking about something a little different.